Hello and welcome back to On the Trail with Miles James Dean. Quite a bit of time has elapsed since ending the last series of On the Trail that detailed the events leading up to and during the horseback journey west across America. That 6-month journey began in September of 2007 and ended 6 months, 1 week, and 1 day later in Los Angeles, California. That was my second adventure. My first was back in the summer of 1979 when I rode a motorcycle north from New Jersey toward Alaska. I was 30 years old then. I had 3 months of riding experience and no idea what the road had planned for me. This series is the story of that journey, entitled Two Wheels North. I want to start before the motorcycle, before the crash, before the traveling carnival, before the truck at mile zero, before any of it. I want to start in New Jersey in 1979 with a man working a regular job who felt like his life was happening just slightly out of reach. That man was me at 30 years old. I wasn't unhappy exactly. I was restless. There's a difference. Unhappy people want things to change. Restless people don't always know what they want. They just know that what they have isn't all there is. I'd go to work, come home, and feel this low hum underneath everything, like a road calling you from somewhere you couldn't quite see. I knew then that the road was real. I'd been planning for nearly a year for it. But it was the other road, the one that I didn't plan for, that was actually calling me. Before the motorcycle, before Alaska, before any of it, there was a friendship. The summer before I left, the summer of 1978, I met a man. He didn't speak English, and I didn't speak Spanish. His name was Marco. Now, by any conventional measure, we had no business being close, and yet we played basketball together. We played chess, two games that require no shared language, only presence, attention, and the willingness to show up for another person. We showed up for each other all summer long. The chess was something particular. We were both competitors. That much was clear from the very first game. There was intensity at that board, the kind that exists between two people who each believe they can win and each respect that the other believes the same thing. But something tempered that intensity. It was the warmth of knowing that our friendship was not based on words, but rather on thoughts and actions, and what we did, and not what we said. On the move that was made and the response that was given and the silence between the moves that said more than conversation could have. We never needed language at that chessboard. We needed only each other's full attention, and we had it. His wife, she cooked for us something down home style Spanish food, made with care and time, the kind that tells you without a single word that you are welcome in this home. I ate at their table all summer and felt something I can only describe as belonging, with people I couldn't hold a verbal conversation with, belonging without words. At the end of that summer, he moved back to Costa Rica. I never knew why. But sometime later in the fall, after the game of chess and plates of food I couldn't name but have never forgotten, I decided I was going to ride a motorcycle down to visit him that following summer. a motorcycle. The least expensive way to travel, or so I thought. That was plan A. Well, in the summer of 1979, Nicaragua was on fire. The Sandinistas had just overthrown Anastasio Somoza, and the Contras were fighting back. Central America was in the kind of upheaval that doesn't care about your travel plans, or your friendship, or the fact that you've been dreaming about a road trip for months. The road south, through Mexico, through Central America, down to Costa Rica, ran straight through the war. And people who knew more than me, people in the State Department, made it very clear. You are not riding through there. Not now. Not this year. Wow, I remember the moment I understood that plan A was gone, that the road south was closed to me, not metaphorically, literally closed by a war, by history, by forces so much larger than one restless 30-year-old in New Jersey with a motorcycle and a friend waiting in Costa Rica. I stood there processing that information, and I kind of felt the ground shift slightly under me. And then almost before the disappointment had finished arriving, something else came. Alaska. I don't know exactly why Alaska. I couldn't tell you the logic of it then, and I'm not sure that I can fully explain it now, 46 years later. But it came instantly. The South was closed, fine. Go north then. Go as far north as the road will take you. If you can't cross one kind of border, then cross another. If the world is going to close the door on you, well, you find the biggest window it left open and climb through it. The Alaskan Highway. Over 1,400 miles of wilderness road starting in Dawson Creek, British Columbia, and running all the way to Delta Junction, Alaska. In 1979, even by car, it was raw and not like it is today. There were long stretches of gravel and chip seal, fuel distances that could strand you, weather that could turn on you without warning, and distances that swallowed people whole. Of course, I knew almost none of that. What I knew was that it existed, and that it went north, and that north was the direction I could go. I had been riding a motorcycle for 3 months. Oh yes, you heard me right. 3 months. I want you to hear that clearly. Not 3 years. 3 months. I was not an experienced rider, obviously. I had not done long distances before, obviously. I had no special training, no seasoned road wisdom, no community of fellow riders who had done this and could tell me what to expect. No. What I had was a motorcycle, a restlessness that had been building since the fall of that previous year, a friend I couldn't reach, and a sudden absolute certainty that Alaska was the answer to a question I hadn't known I was asking. Now, in 1979, you couldn't post about it. You couldn't document it in real time or build an audience before you'd gone anywhere. Why? There was no Facebook, no internet, no GPS. You planned a route and you just went. You told the people, of course, who needed to know, and you packed what you can carry, and you pointed the bike at the road. I do remember the weight of the morning. Not in a bad way. It wasn't heavy, but heavy, slightly heavy in the way things are when you're going to do something that can't be undone. I was 30 years old. I was restless, and I was about to ride a motorcycle to Alaska with 3 months of experience and whatever I could fit on the bike. Nobody stopped me. I'm not even sure anyone could have. I pulled out of New Jersey and headed north and west, and the ordinary world, the job, the routine, the low hum of restlessness fell away behind me almost immediately. The road, it turns out, is very good at that. Well, that's where this story begins. Not with a plan, but really with the collapse of a plan, and the instant that followed it when something in me said, north. Well, over the next 12 episodes, I'm going to tell you what happened on that road. The crash on the first night, the man who fixed my bike for free and asked only for a postcard, the traveling carnival, the money running out, the Alaskan highway, and the moment in Dawson Creek at mile 0 that ended everything. But I want you to carry one thing with you from this episode into all the ones that follow. I was going to see a friend, a man I played basketball and chess with all summer, whose wife fed me Spanish food at her table, a friend with whom I never exchanged a single sentence in a shared language, and yet was one of the most genuine human connections I have ever had. A war took that journey away from me, and what replaced it became the story I'm telling you now. You know, sometimes the road you can't take is the one that leads you to the life you didn't know you needed to live. In the next episode, the first night on the road, a crash in Pennsylvania, a badly damaged shoulder, and the decision that every person at that point would have understood if I'd made that choice. Yeah, the other one I didn't make. And now, as always, happy trails to you until we meet again.